Hello, welcome to my channel. Today's meditation actually covers a lot of current events, so I'm going to affix the side note that this is for entertainment purposes only, although, quite frankly, I'm not exactly entertained by some of the things that we discussed, but it does give me food for thought. So with that said, I am just going to read through this, and then I'll have some comments afterwards. But again, for entertainment purposes only, this is just me having some meanderings allowed with my guides and with Metatron. So, take it for what it's worth, okay? So here it is, day 17, February 15th, 2025. I wrote, contrary to what I see in the news, I feel pretty optimistic. Why is that? And Metatron says, you are in tune with the universal energy. All will be well. And I said, it seems kind of strange, but if I was geographically speaking in another place, I probably would not feel the same way. Metatron says, it does not matter where you are in the world. Physical location is pretty irrelevant. And I said, I don't know. There's so many people who have had much more difficult lot in life than I have. I got away from the insanity before it actually happened. Nigel says, it would seem to me that you have something akin to survivor's guilt. You are far removed from what is happening, but you recognize that you are still affected by it. Look at how you feel with the upcoming German elections. You see what happened in the U.S., and you are fearful that it will happen in Germany or Europe. I said, I am just hopeful that the European countries are watching what is going on in the U.S., and my thoughts are, please, 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 don't let the dark and horrible history repeat itself. Nigel says, yes, love, I know. You're very concerned. That is why what you're doing here is so important. You understand the need to raise your vibration so the world can heal. You are very aware of this. You understand this. And I said, Nigel, why do I feel like survivor's guilt is in me? Does it mean that something terrible will happen? Nigel says, I will tell you that because the word terrible is subjective. Your world is experiencing great change at the moment. It is a spiritual unfolding which could and possibly will change lives. Each generation has dealt with a sense of upheaval. Each one has dealt with certain things and what can happen if a great change occurs. You had that with COVID. A very dark time in your planet's evolution. You are coming out of a series of tunnels with choices and options are available to you. How you choose collectively will determine which direction things go. Oh, my nose is itching. I said, you might think collectively that we are a pretty messed up lot. Nigel said, it is not my place to judge. You must learn the universal lessons. I said, what exactly are the universal lessons? Metatron says that love is the answer to every one of your questions. Not the love of power or money, but the love of one another, of self, of that which is positive. We spoke yesterday about this, and during the past days, the topic has come up more often than not. How can we change this course we are on? How can we manage to find hope in a world encased in greed, hopelessness, and hate? We must simply remove fear from the equation. You cannot love a God, a creator, or a person if you are afraid of them. You cannot give someone a gift if you are afraid of how they will use that gift. Think about the people who beg for money on the street. I do not speak of those organized bands of beggars who are exploited and forced to give the money to some fat cat at the top. I mean the individual people who are asking for help because they need it. All too often, people are moved to give or not give based on preconceived notions that they will give the money out for alcohol or cigarettes. You do not want to contribute to another person's vices, but releasing the notions, which may be ill-conceived, is a good stepping block to recognizing that you are a part of the community. That community does not judge, but rather helps. Right now, Humanity is learning a valuable lesson about community. Normal people leaning on each other to help someone through a rough patch. As you help one another, you also help yourself. That sense of community is not only necessary, it is vital for survival. People who have prided themselves on rugged individualism are now realizing that there is nothing more vital than connecting with that community and allowing oneself to assist those around them. I said, do you see something like the French Revolution happening? Metatron says, I see it starting. Keep in mind, I do not condone violence, but I see people becoming desperate. And so I see an uprising coming. I cannot say when, as we do not have the measurements of time as you do, but I see something akin to a revolution. I said, in other words, the ultra-wealthy have much to fear from us so-called peasants. And Metatron says, yes, they do. The more they take away from the people, the more angry and hostile the people will become. It is easy for you to forgive a band leader who yelled at you as a child. It is not so easy to be a parent of a child who has transitioned because of polio, the measles, or prices of an inhaler. Many of the things people are contending with today had already been resolved, but these super wealthy, ignorant beings may, in fact, discover that their greed and belligerence will not save them when faced with angry and hostile populace. To believe that they are separated enough that consequences will not happen to them is a step closer to their own destruction. And I said, in other words, people can only be pushed so far, then something happens and they snap. And Sunshine says, yeah, but there's a sense of sadness in the knowing that these people who are suddenly affected by all of this only seem to react when it affects them personally. I said, I know, Sunshine, I see that same thing. People only seem to care about the needs of others when it suddenly affects them. It's like they have seen the light, but at the expense of the others, generally the others they do not like. Metatron says, this is why it is so important for people to understand that fear is what drives them, the fear of having something taken away. This is like putting a limit on love. People are deep down afraid that there's only a limit to how much love and hope there is in the world. The truth is, the amount of care and support that can be given is without limit. You can give and give and give. Expecting a reward defeats the purpose of giving, but does it stop you from giving? I said, it shouldn't, but I see what you are saying. People think that there is always a limit. Metatron says, yes, the reality is when people care about others, then the sense of community grows. When people do things for a selfish reason, they lose that sense of community. Look at the reaction to people towards the people who voted for fascist ideologies. Do you see the collective responding kindly to them? They voted against their own best interests, but figured that things would be taken away from the others and not from them. When the oligarchs came after them, there was no one left to stand up for them. It coincides with that quotation. Nigel says, the reality is you feel empathy for people because of the situation they are in, but find it hard to feel that for the people who chose it. I said, yes, I know that empathy doesn't or shouldn't have limits, but can you blame me for not having it for those who willingly voted for something that would ultimately bring harm to others? The thing that breaks my heart are those who did not choose this. And Metatron says, I know what you're saying, but the people you feel empathy for are those who are looking out for each other. The real empathy lies in those who feel isolated. That is a true measure of forgiveness. I said, yeah, I get what you're saying, Metatron, but do you know how hard it is to forgive a person who willingly steps on a rake? Sunshine says, good point. It's hard to forgive them, but it is equally hard not to. I said, I wish things would be better for people. I hate the fact that I went through cancer and did not have to contend with the bills of payment plans or other people must contend with over there. I live in Germany and we have good health care here. It is a socialized healthcare system. But will the US recognize that healthcare is not about making money, but about saving lives? It makes me sick, no pun intended. This is what really makes me sad. A simple diagnosis could easily run someone straight into the poorhouse. Metatron says, yes, it is an issue that hits very close to home with you. Before you were diagnosed, you understood very little about the issue, but once it affected you, it opened your eyes to it. I said, yes, but my ignorance about it did not harm another person. I just didn't know. And Metatron says, this is true. And learning about this enabled your empathy towards others to increase. Do you not believe that those who have now been affected by policies will understand the impact of this, that this has on others? Perhaps some of them will learn from their own fallacies and start to understand that their ignorance about the issue had been just that, ignorance. I said, I see what you mean. It said if they start to suffer hardships, it might make them realize that their hatred is what catalyzed their reality. Is that it? Metatron says that's it. You were ignorant about something, but it was not born out of hate. It was born out of non-recognition. Perhaps those who were like you will become aware that those who blindly hate the others who were not like them will come to realize that the futility of their own prejudices. I said, so in other words, there are two different groups we are contending with. Metatron says, yes, some of them will continue to hate. Humanity must be prepared for this dark energy. Others will come around to understanding that they stepped on that rake and will not do it again. When enough of these people realize this, things will change. Nigel says, on a more hopeful note, things are starting to change, but still there is much left to be done. And I said, we mustn't give up, right? Metatron says, right. Let this give you hope, not only for you, but for humanity. And I said, I will. Thank you all so much. So that was the meditation for today. I have a lot of thoughts about it because I know that there's a lot of stuff going on. It seems like the news cycle is just like a runaway train, that there's just more and more and more and more going on. And we are really at this point, at this juncture where we have to take a step back, detach from it, and try and make the best out of the situation that we find ourselves in. But the reality and the hope is that the angels and guides know this, and they know what is going to happen, and they are there to guide and help us to see where we may make mistakes and where we may actually be working towards our better, higher good. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and sometimes it's very easy to get caught up into it and get drawn into it. But I think that the main thing is to choose love over fear. And if we start worrying about what everybody else is doing or what everybody else is getting, then maybe we've lost the point. And what we need to do is remember that we're all beloved children of our Creator and that we all deserve to be treated with compassion, understanding, and respect. So, with that said, I wish you a wonderful day. Have a great weekend. And until next time, sending you lots of light and hope that and positivity that all will be well. Take care, and as always, namaste.